Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time each and every day. We gonna talk about it. They got new charges, man. They got new charges. They promised 120. The lawyer, the attorney, Tony Busby. Wait for some more people to come up in here. Yes, sir. B. Dot, what's good? It's all good, man. Yes, sir. One day at a time. Rain G4, Jim D, Carla, what's happening? How y'all doing this evening? Cassius Butler, what up? Hey, what we was talking about the other day, your boy DELRAY. I appreciate everybody coming through. P Funk, what it do? Mark Johnson, what's up? Wait for a couple of more people to come up in here. We're gonna talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like there are 94 lawsuits off. Fatima, what's good? Nisha Chanel, what's happening? Peace and love to you. No, Carla. Hey, Carla, check this out. So they promised 120 lawsuits. Today, the lawyer Tony Busby, they claim he's starting to make good on those lawsuits. Diddy hit with 6 new lawsuits, y'all. 6 new lawsuits. Basically accusing, and also they got a 16-year-old or somebody who was 16-year-old at the time that they allege whatever happened at that particular time. I won't be too graphic in regards to that, but in dealing with the allegations, the first of a promise of more than 100, but Tony Busby said that these are the only 6 that he could actually corroborate, if you will. I don't know how he did that from that perspective. For the first times in all the accusations against Sean P. Diddy Combs, the incarcerated one-time mogul is now facing claims he SA'd a minor, a male minor, if you will. This was supposedly back in 1998 or something like that, right? In total, today, the Texas lawyer Tony Busby started to make good on his pledge last week of filing of more than 120 alleged victims. So out of the 120 that he said that he had, he can only confirm 6 of them, if you will. And so so they basically, they're not going to be named, they're going to remain anonymous. They're going to be John Doe's as far as the lawsuit is concerned, as the plaintiffs, all right? On behalf of a dozen plaintiffs who accused Combs of actions between 1995 and 2021, filed in federal court in New York under the Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Act. One of them was a 19-year-old female, and one was a 16-year-old young man. And let's be clear, this was back in the day, if you will, that they were that age at that particular time, and the MO that has occurred in previous lawsuits, modus operandi, if you will, right? In previous lawsuits against Combs, the actions from now a 42-year-old North Carolina resident. So the person was 42 now. You know, when they alleged it happened, it was 16. If they said, you know, North Carolina resident says that the rapper demanded the plaintiff drop his pants at a 1998 white party in the Hamptons. Combs then supposedly grabbed John Doe's genitalia with his hands and commenced to squeezing and feeling and doing other things in regards to that, right? Afterwards, again, as he appeared over and over as a response by Combs in the alleged essay, there were promises to assist the victim with a career in the music industry if they stayed quiet. The five other suits put before the courts in New York Monday said see sadly familiar claims of more men and women being drugged and assaulted uh, by Combs and his entourage at parties and events almost in the open. In one truly vile incident that occurred in Macy's main New York City store in May 2008, Combs is said to have forced an employee of the clothing brand Echo to perform oral sex on him as a form of punishment for being with a clothing company that competed with the musician's own Sean John. Right after the assault, Combs supposedly went out on the flagship floor and handed out Sean John products to adoring fans, while his male victim, was fired soon after complaining to Macy's and Echo about what happened to him. Ladies and gentlemen, I really don't know how to take none of this. You know, basically, it said, we will let the allegations in the file complaint speak for themselves, and we will work to see that justice is done. Busby told a Deadline and other news outlets today that of six of the six lawsuits and the vivid claims in them, we expect to be filing many more cases over the next several weeks, naming Mr. Combs and others as defendants as we continue to gather evidence and prepare the filings. Uh, in terms of familiar past Combs accusations, the opening of one of the suits filed Monday in Southern District of New York is pretty clear on what it's all about. Defendant Combs routinely recruited individuals to parties, drugged them, and then SA'd them, exploited them. One of the new filings that begins the conduct described herein is shockingly typical of the defendant, Sean Combs. The 20-page document adds he was aided in this aberrant conduct by numerous individuals and entities. Sean Combs conducted himself uh, for many years as if he was above the law. He is not. This case seeks both compensatory and punitive damages for SA and the R word, right? Um, Once again, they promised 120 lawsuits. They've only come out with six. So what it says to me when Tony Busby was actually trying to uh, articulate that he had 120 lawsuits, he really didn't have that. That was for the shock and awe of the media. At this particular time, he's only filed uh, six new civil lawsuits, and basically uh, asking for compensatory and punitive damages in regards to that. Facing a life sentence if found guilty of sex trafficking and other charges. He was arrested on September 16th. You know, we know Sean Combs is currently locked up. Um, and it seems like I said, for the most part, what I just realized also is that the first criminal action is basically dependent mostly on what Cassie said. The criminal, the RICO, the three count indictment that he faced the other day is now basically mostly based on what Cassie said. There really aren't any other victims per se, like I said, as that we know of that could corroborate what Cassie claims to have could corroborate. Cassie said she was also R'd, the R word, before the last time she seen Combs. She said that had happened to her, and so with these new six lawsuits, what do you guys think, man? Come on, man. Let's talk about it in the chat. I really don't. Like I said once again, it seems like a money grab to me. It seems like a money grab. And I would hate to discount anybody's accusations, but like I said, prior to Cassie lawsuit, everything was all good. Nobody came with any kind of lawsuit, and if they did, um, it wasn't even really it didn't even really hit the media that heavy. And that it was settled, like Cassie lawsuit was settled. That's the only lawsuit that Sean P. Diddy Combs has settled up until this point. And so, yeah, basically, they used the video to basically get everybody to see what they needed to see in relation to Sean Combs, him beating up Cassie, kicking her, and so on and so forth, grabbing her by a collar, throwing her on the ground, and kicking her. Yeah, I wanted to ask a question though. For most of the people that that understand what's going on. So, and there's no reason for any kind of domestic violence whatsoever in what happened to Cassie, right? I wanted to know what was in those bags that she was carrying, because when P. Diddy assaulted her, right? He quickly went over there to that. It was a Louis Vuitton bag. It was a Louis Vuitton bag, and I was just wondering what was in those bags. You know what I mean? And I don't want to speculate, but like I say, he quickly grabbed the bags. I don't know if it was like money in the bag or whatever was in the bag. I just wanted to know. I wonder what was in the bag. Yeah, he took the bags first, and then he started walking down the hall. So I'm wondering, was it cash? Was it cameras? Was it footage? Was it, you know what I mean? And so I just always wondered, was that part of the reason why he was so angry and so mad? Like I said, there was no excuse for what he did, period, point blank, bottom line. A lot of people have been saying different things about the situation as far as like, well, why did she stay? And after all of that happened, after the situation happened at the hotel, why was she there? Why did she still stay with him? Only she can answer that question. I don't know, and I really don't care, because evidently she didn't, because she stayed. And you know what I mean? So whatever that was, that was. More importantly, but these 6 new lawsuits, right? Tony Busby promised 120. When he came out, I got 120 new, victims, right? We know now that he was bluffing. We know now that that was a bluff. We know factually out of claiming of 120, because see, you weren't supposed to name that you had 120 unless you could corroborate and confirm 120. So a lot of times people say things that they don't intend on really backing up. They say things for shock value, and it seems to me this was one of those things. Basically, somebody from North Carolina saying that they was at a Diddy party and in the Hamptons. So the party was in the Hamptons. He was in the party in the Hamptons, and what year was that again? 19. Yeah, something happened in Macy's, at a Macy's store, with a male victim in May 2008. And this is crazy, because, like I said, with that being what that was, I don't see why whoever this individual was didn't go and file a lawsuit, because that would also been a tantamount to wrongful termination. He said, well, Sean P. Diddy Combs made him do something, or some kind of thing with him, and then after that went outside and started to give away Sean John clothes or whatever. And afterwards, the young man said, after complaining to Macy's and Echo about what happened to him, that he was fired. So that would have been tantamount to wrongful termination, and you have a lawsuit then and there. I mean, because you lost your job. So what else do you have to fend for, or you know what I mean, at that particular time? And then, like I said, the other situation was in 1998. Like I said, the modus operandi that has occurred in previous lawsuits, it seems like they're following the same thing. And this is the thing that I look at the most, because when you talk about exclusive information, when you talk about following a pattern of something, you talk about like what Cassie put in her lawsuit. Let's be honest, the word freak off or any of that stuff didn't come out until Cassie said something about that. Once again, people must understand the indictment, the 3-count indictment. The star witness and the star witness in that case will be Cassie Ventura. You can count on that. She is the one who could corroborate a lot of the things that happened to her. She makes the case against Diddy the strongest. I believe that she will be in court to testify against Sean P. Diddy Combs. I believe that Cassie is the person that will ultimately put Sean Combs in prison. I don't know for how long, but it's going to be a hell of a case. Oh, you can count on that. Because, like I said, with Sean P. Diddy Combs' legal team, he's going to, he gonna have to take it. He gonna have to. And when they say take it to the door, meaning do all your time, or take it to the door, meaning go to trial. He's gonna have to go all the way with the case. And so these cases here are just civil cases. You know what I mean? This is an attempt to get money from Sean P. Diddy Combs. And like I said, once again, the only lawsuit as of recent, which kicked off this other plethora of lawsuits, the only lawsuit he settled was the one against Cassie. But once again, like I said, for people who don't really know and have not read both Cassie civil case versus Sean P. Diddy Combs is his federal case, Cassie Ventura is going to be the star witness in that case. Everything that's alleged that Sean P. Diddy Combs did in that 3-count indictment for the federal case was alleged in Cassie Ventura's civil case. So she will be the star witness. Once again, with the tape, like I said, with the tape coming out, now we can understand. You can see how it was played out to be. It was played out to be, okay, they got this tape, they let the tape go. It took a couple of months. They did the raids, and then now here comes the criminal case. Once again, trying to convince the public that Sean P. Diddy Combs is a monster. Like I said, I look at Cassie's lawsuit and Cassie's lawsuit alone and saying the things that they were involved in, like inviting other people into their bedroom, all of these other things that Cassie alleged that she participated in, because it's something that turned Sean P. Diddy Combs on, or got him off, if you will, right? And so I won't argue that aspect of it. The blowing up of Kid Cudi's car, all of these things, like I said, how much evidence they have to corroborate all of those things has yet to be seen. And like I said, if Cassie has any other voice recordings, videotapes, whether she has tapes, the prosecution said that they have tapes already. And so once again, but these new lawsuits after Tony Busby, like I said, he promised 120, and like and so it's so misleading, if you will, when we hear something like that, because the shock and awe value of 120, and then it becomes a conversation that really isn't a conversation. It was just for shock value. And so now we see two people who alleged in there the same thing. Oh yeah, they drug. So my thing is, the guy or the alleged person that worked at the Macy's store, right? And then you have somebody, that's 2008, and then you have somebody in 1998, basically saying at a white party in the Hamptons, then supposedly grabbed John Doe's genitals with his hand and commenced the squeezing and feeling. At this time, it was a teen, his private parts, if you will. Now, once again, we don't know if none of this is true, right? And this is the reason why I reserve judgment, because Tony Busby said he had 120 people. He had 120 people. He's 94 people short. So that kind of makes me doubt, not what the allegations are, but just doubt the motivation, should I say, in regards to what they're saying that happened. I'm not one of those people that take, oh yeah, man, because they said this, they said they got a mind. They said, well, he said he had 120 people, and it's only 6. They also have a hotline that you could call and make a claim or something like that. And my thing is, how does one corroborate a 16-year-old being at a Hamptons white party, with Sean P. Diddy Combs and supposedly other adults, if you will. You know what I mean? I don't know how that works. And then they had some other little kid that was there at one of the parties with his dad, because his dad was the cameraman. And then they came out and, the media kind of grabbed onto that. It wasn't really nothing that happened, but the guy was trying to say that Sean P. Diddy Combs touched him or hugged him in some kind of uncomfortable way. It's just, like I said, it's just, you know, thing after thing after thing after thing. And like I said, prior to Cassie's lawsuit, we heard none of this stuff. We heard none of this stuff. And nobody went to no lawyer, no none of that to say anything about anything happening, like I said, till after the Cassie lawsuit. I mean, like I said, you even go back to the Lil Rod situation. Lil Rod, first of all, said all he wanted was his $50,000. And then came this other civil case, and where they started to, it was like, oh yeah, Cuba Gooding Jr. and all these other people names got mentioned, and so on and so forth. So, and like I said, Sean P. Diddy Combs, he didn't settle nothing. I don't know, like I said, once again, if a person could, if they had real evidence that could corroborate what was going on, I think it would be more in Sean P. Diddy Combs' favor to settle it. But I don't think that he thinks that anybody has anything against him. And for that reason, he hasn't settled it. But let me tell you this, because a lot of people don't know this. In dealing with the Michael Jackson situation, I forgot the young man's name who went over his house. Wade Ronson, right? The guy Wade Ronson is now alleging that something happened with him and Michael Jackson and so on and so forth. And he's been trying to sue Michael Jackson's estate. So when a lot of times when things like this and lawsuits like this, these are being filed, it's not even hoping that they're hoping that it could get settled. But if they can get a conviction in a civil case, right, now you can get some kind of judgment, and that judgment doesn't expire, if you will. Sometimes even upon a person's death, they can still go after your estate and try to get money. So like I said, a lot of these lawyers are trying to really play the long game, if you will. But like I said, how Sean P. Diddy Combs and his attorney going to answer these charges is going to be up to them. As of late, nobody said anything in regards to that. But when you think about it, like I said, for most people who don't know, as part of your estate, any kind of civil lawsuit or anything like that you have against you can also be filed against your estate. So, I guess Tony Busby and them, they playing the long game. They saying, hey, we got, 6 people out of what he said at one time was 120. I find that to be disingenuous, if you will, and not really the truth. But once again, I guess 6 is better than none, and these are the only lawsuits that they said that they could corroborate at this particular time. So what that tells me is that the other 94 were something that could not be substantiated through any kind of evidence that could be released to the court. And like I said, these are mere accusations at this particular time. I'm wondering, at a white party in 1998. 1998 is what one person is saying that something happened. Another one is in 2008. And so, and these are the details that they're giving away right now. Yeah. What do you guys think? Yeah, like I said, a lot of people looking for a payday, man. He promised 120 people, only delivered 6, and like I said, you don't promise 120 if you don't have 120. So that this tells me that was for the media spectacle around the whole case, if you will, right? And then you have somebody who's now 42 years old, one of the people in this new lawsuit are 42 years old, and said that they were 16 at Diddy's white party at that particular time. All of the people won't be named, so they're going to remain John Doe's, and they say, out of fear of retaliation from Sean P. Diddy Combs, like I said, Callie, if you want to get a payday from Sean P. Diddy Combs from that perspective, then you got to go to Cassie route. You got to put it all out there. Cassie, like I said, once again, you got to take your hat off to her because she admitted, like, yo, I participated in this. I was in on the threesomes. I was, he watched while somebody else, was with me, and he got off on that, and she participated in all of that. She put it all out there, and I think that was one of the things that made Sean P. Diddy Combs settle, because I don't think he thought that she would admit those things because they were so embarrassing and so unbecoming at that particular time. And then all of the other stuff that she may be in possession of that we do not have knowledge of at this particular time. But like I said, for most people that don't know, that three count indictment in the federal and what Sean P. Diddy Combs is locked up for right now is basically based on Cassie's situation. You can go, like I said, for a lot of people who did not read the indictment and only are listening to media reports, please read the indictment. And if you get a chance, go then and read Cassie's civil case, and you will see the connection and the similarities, right, in which they have, and you'll get the understanding of what this is. Well, I can't speak to innocence or guilt at this particular time, Darren. But what I will say is, we know the Cassie situation, and like I said, in the 3-count, listen to me, in the 3-count criminal indictment, it's based on what Cassie said. You see what I'm saying? And so if you're going to charge somebody with something, you want to be able to corroborate that, right? And there was no person closer to Sean P. Diddy Combs at the time than Cassie. That's why a lot of these other lawsuits kind of get looked at with the side eye, if you will. You kind of like, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? But the Cassie situation was something that somebody had a relationship with him. We seen the tape. We seen, what it is. That can be corroborated. And if nothing else, if you get that in front of a jury, right? You said Busby said he wouldn't name those who settled, so it's not really 120. He's going after but he no listen. Nobody settled. Name those who settled what? Nobody settled. Sean P. Diddy Combs didn't settle any lawsuits. The only lawsuit Sean P. Diddy Combs settled was the one with Cassie. So he couldn't have been that. You might want to read that again. But like I said, more importantly, when you look at the Cassie situation, when you file a case, the lawyer usually goes with things that he can corroborate, right? If you have evidence, you can prove this. This is what this happened at this time. This happened at this date. They have the video. Were there other instances and altercations and things like that? Yes, cool. Cassie also said in her civil case that Sean P. Diddy Combs did the R word to her the last time they saw each other, right? Now, from that perspective, like I said, that's a slippery slope, because once again, they were in a relationship. And now it boils down to who you want to believe. And if you look at the tape and you got it in front of a jury, right? And you say, who do you believe? 9 times out of 10, they're going to believe Cassie. And so that's why I say what I say in regards to the criminal case. That's why we really hear about nobody else. And I truly, honestly don't think that there will be nobody else arrested in the Sean P. Diddy Combs in this criminal case. He's going to be the only person arrested. That's just what I believe. I could be wrong, but that's just what I believe at this particular time, because you don't charge a RICO case and then only go get one person. I've never seen that happen. Only time I've seen that happen before was that I know of in dealing with a situation like this was in the R. Kelly case. And R. Kelly was charged in two different jurisdictions, if you will. And so, yeah. Yeah. So, like I said, once again, we know now Tony Busby came out, said he had 120 people, 120 cases. He was ready to go. He's 94 short with these 6. So, like I said, that begins to for me to add doubt and saying, hey, you know what? Is this really a money grab? Somebody saying that they were 16 years old in 1998 at a white party in the Hamptons. How much truth there is to this situation, you know. And it's like, we can, you can file, anybody can file a lawsuit. Like I said, once again, anybody can file a lawsuit. It's basically going in, corroborating, coming up with the facts that basically link that person that you're saying that did wrong to you to what that is, and then proving that to a jury. And that's a whole nother thing when you got millions of dollars and you fight somebody with millions of dollars and got high powered attorneys and things like that. And like I said, I believe, this is what I believe. I think Sean P. Diddy Combs has his money all trusted up. I mean, it's trusted up so tough that, and his daughter's kids' names and all of that, you know what I mean? He got grandkids, the money's so trusted up that you can't get to it. You can't, estate what? He ain't got no estate. You know what I mean? The only money that he probably derives, he derives from a trust that's not even in his name. And if he lives off of that, you know what I mean? All of the houses, all of the property, all of that stuff is in a trust. So therefore, when somebody sues you, they could sue the business ain't got no money, or the business could go bankrupt, whatever have you. So that's the reason why I believe Sean P. Diddy Combs hasn't settled, because it's like, you can sue me, okay, sue me, whatever, and then once they sue him, and then he could file bankruptcy or whatever. And like I said, the stuff is not in his name. If it's not in his name anyway, and it's in the trust, then you don't have to worry about that. They can say, well, yeah, he has $150 million judgment against him. Like right now, Rudy Giuliani has $200 million judgment against him for basically defaming those two poll workers down in Georgia, right? Will he ever have to pay for it? For the property that he owns, yeah. They're going to go after the property to satisfy that judgment. But more importantly, in Sean P. Diddy Combs' situation, it seems to me, and we heard Mace talk about that also, and when he was on, I think he was on Melrose Avenue in Hollywood, he was talking about, yeah, Biggie dead, you know what I mean? Black Rob dead, you know what I mean? And all of the people that were dead. He's like, yeah, you talking all that craziness because everything in your mother name, you know what I'm saying? And I think that Mace would know that more so than anybody else would know that, being that he wrote a lot of songs for Sean P. Diddy Combs and he worked closely with him. So that's the reason why I say that. So a lot of times people want to follow the money, but there's no money to be had because the money's all trusted up. Ain't nothing in his name, And like I said, a lot of stuff is public. So if you know his address, know what, the address to the house in Homely Hills, you can actually look that up and see who owns the house. You know what I mean? You can look those things up. You look that stuff up through the city records and stuff like that. And so, like I say, a lot of times, but more importantly, six more cases, man. Sean P. Diddy Combs, accused of assaulting a 16-year-old boy in the latest lawsuit. 6 filings of a promised 120. You know what I mean? So my bad. My math was off that time. I was like, yeah. It said 6 filings out of 120, right? So what we say? We 114 off. My bad. I was thinking 100, and they said, well, 100 new cases, around 100 new cases. So yeah, 114. They 114. They're 114 cases off. Tony Busby, a lawyer in Texas, you know what I mean, filing something in the southern New York. And also they're going under that same when they filed it under the Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act, meaning where the victims can actually remain anonymous. So we won't know who these people are, but like I said, if you want money from Sean P. Diddy Combs, it's best you put your name in the lawsuit. Maybe he probably has some kind of recollection of who you are and be like, yeah, I did do that. You know what I mean? Like I said, with the Cassie situation, he settled that, in less than 24 hours. And like I said, we know why he settled that from that perspective. If you're trying to get your payday with Sean P. Diddy Combs, a lot of the stuff, if people was doing drugs and, these two, and the funny thing about these two new ones is they didn't allege to be drugged, right? Yeah. He's the one that said he demanded that he, take down his pants or something like that at the white party in the Hamptons. And like I said, we don't know if none of this is true, but these are the new allegations against Sean P. Diddy Combs. Right now, also, he's also in front of a three judge panel trying to see if he can get his bail, get out on bail. And like I said, once again, in that case alone, once again, that's May 5th. That's May 5th of 2025. He'll be going to trial for that, right? And which I think benefits him. Like I say, in a speedy trial, more people can make accusations. But at the end of the day, the district attorney in New York is not taking like new accusations. Notice, and you can see that too. Notice that these civil cases are popping up separately. They might have some people come and witness and say, hey, this happened to me or whatever. I don't know how much that'll help the case that involves this Cassie situation, because a lot, like I said, that 3-count indictment, the federal one, is based on what Cassie's saying. I think she's going to be the star witness in what that is, and stating that, yeah, he did hire sex workers. Yeah, he did, fly people in. Yeah, he did do this. And, and then she's going to give the evidence on, where they came from, how much money they were paid, how much money they would typically be paid. You know what I mean? This is going to be Cassie's testimony, if you will, in Sean P. Diddy Combs' criminal case. So when you understand the underlying allegations in that federal case, then you'll get it, right? Yeah, Cassie got Carla Shepard. Cassie got the goods. Like all of these other cases are just cases that are flying up, basically trying to kind of like mirroring what Cassie's civil case was. They're looking at Cassie's case and saying, you know what, we can say this too. We can say this happened too. And what we can hope for is a settlement or some kind of judgment. And that, a person can enforce, even after a person passes away, if you will, right? And so with that being said, that's the thing that I'm looking at the most. He said, hey, Jay, would you say 200 cases coming soon? Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. That's the part that makes this kind of sad. Is 1 minute is 120 cases, and the next minute they only 6, because the only 6 that they could corroborate. Then they had the hotline that you could hit it up. If you got a complaint, we don't care if you're in Florida, New York, Texas, Albuquerque, New Mexico, California, Nevada, Idaho, Ohio. We don't care where you are. If you feel like you got a case, you need to call this 1-800 number or whatever kind of number that they have out there. And it kind of is crazy. Yeah, he said his dog will be sued next. Yeah, what if the trust is in the dog's name? Yeah, we trying to get some money from Fido too. But like I said, more importantly, it's not even a laughing matter. Like I said, when you deal with stuff like this. But let me be clear. A lot of times when accusations are made like this and they are meritless accusations, let's be clear. The people who really suffer from things like this kind of go unheard. In the loud noise, like they say, the louder, the squeakiest wheel gets the grease, if you will. A lot of times that's what happens. At the time when Cassie filed her lawsuit was squeaking. Her lawsuit wasn't squeaking, it was squealing and yelling. You know what I mean? And so therefore that's why it was settled, right? But when you have situations, and we've seen the tape, so we know what happened, but when you have other people coming out the woodworks with these lawsuits from 1998, 2008, and like I said, when the situation happened, I mean, if something happened, you just go to the police, like you're not thinking about whether it's somebody, especially in the one case with in 2008, when the person said that they lost their job because they work for Macy's, you go to the police. Right? Even if they don't do something, it's on record. So if a situation like this does come about, and the person is believed to be a predator or somebody who does this on a normal basis, right? Then therefore that person's case is much more believable, because they filed the case. They actually went and sought to have a case filed. Whether the district attorney looked at it and say, hey, you know what, there's not enough evidence, right? at least that's documented and you have that documentation. Unlike the young lady who just got dropped by the lawyer um, like a week ago, right? One of the girls who was accusing Sean P. Diddy Combs, she said she worked at the white parties and such, and something happened, and all of these other accusations. And the lawyer who was representing her basically said, you know what? Um, she's undermining her client was actually undermining her work, undermining the work that she was trying to do to help the young lady, right? And in doing so, um, the lawyer said, hey, you know what? I can no longer represent you. But that wasn't the first time that happened. This was actually the second lawyer that had dropped this young lady. Once again, at that particular time, Sean P. Diddy Combs' attorneys actually spoke out and said the young lady were making frivolous and baseless claims in regards to what Sean P. Diddy Combs had allegedly did to her. So once again, you see how that can work. And then the young lady, like I said the other day, the young lady who was being represented by Gloria Allred, her ex-boyfriend, according to TMZ. Now, like I said, I haven't seen the information. This is according to TMZ. So I'm not going to say that it's true or not true, right? But basically saying that her ex-boyfriend came out and said, hey, yeah, she sent me a text and said if I could corroborate, once again, corroborate. Listen, because it's not just enough that you going into court saying that somebody did something to you. So the young lady who's being represented by Gloria Allred actually allegedly wrote a text message to her ex-boyfriend saying to him, and TMZ said that they saw the text. I don't know. I can't, confirm nor deny whether they did. This is the report that they put out, that the young man showed them the text message. After showing them the text message, right, they ran with the story basically saying the young lady's text her ex-boyfriend said, yo, if you could corroborate the situation, my case that I got against Diddy, that she would give the ex-boyfriend 6 figures. So we don't know if that's what that's supposed to be or not, right? But once again, it adds doubt to a case. And we anybody who know Gloria Allred always on the scene when something like this happened. Gloria Allred was on the scene when the thing happened with Michael Jackson and all of these other things, right? And so once again, like I told you, this is not just for money right now. As we see, Michael Jackson's estate is still fighting accusations of in dealing with things that he's allegedly to have done even after his death. So a lot of this times the lawyers are playing the long game. They're not playing the short game. They're playing the long game and trying to get some money. Yeah, it's like I said, a lot of them are unbelievable, And once again, as many people as we got in the chat was as many people as as Tony Busby was promising to bring in regards to this new case. Like I said, once again, Tony Busby is 114 plaintiffs short, if you will, in regards to this case. In like I said, these are only six new filings, right? 6 filings. The first promise of more than 120 alleged victims, right? And this tells me that a lot of what he was saying was simply inaccurate at best and not true at the worst. So once again, here we go again. 6 people. The only people he can corroborate was 6. Like I said, they had the hotline. He had this big press conference, and the shock and awe value of 120 new victims, and for a couple of days that had been going moving but as we move along with our days and our lives, right, we see a lot of this has less of an effect than it does when it first comes out. 120 victims. Oh, now 6 new cases, civil cases. Notice that the prosecutor in New York involved in the criminal case is not entertaining none of these. They're not entertaining none of that. Why? It's because Cassie Ventura is their star witness in the 3 charge indictments in the federal case. You can count that on all 10 of your fingers. Cassie will be the star witness in that case against Sean P. Diddy Combs. And like I said, we don't know what Cassie has, or we don't know what she took away. We don't know what she has on her phone. We don't know what kind of video evidence she has, right? And it's gonna get really, 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 really interesting. Really interesting. So now I understand what's going on with this situation. And like I said, once again, I don't believe nobody else. People saying that they're gonna release a list of Sean P. Diddy Combs enablers. You can't have an enabler as a person who's um a grown man dealing with a grown woman and they're in a relationship, right? The freak off statements that came out came from Cassie. And when she said freak offs, she was talking about the things that her and Sean P. Diddy Combs were doing in their bedroom. And the alleged male workers or whatever that they would have come in their bedroom because he liked to get off. That's where the freak off thing came from, right? A lot of people took the freak off thing as freak off tapes that were made for whenever. And then there could be some of those too. Don't get me wrong. But like I said, the initial statement of freak offs came from Cassie's civil case. It wasn't nothing that, and like I said, when she said they would do these things, it would be between her, some other guy, or whoever else, and whatever else, and P. Diddy watching and how he liked to watch and, film it and do all of these other things, right? That's Cassie saying that. That's Cassie saying, not only saying that, but saying that she participated in that. That right there has teeth. That right there has been corroborated with not only with the video that we see P. Diddy, what's the name, but with the video that the prosecution said that they have. I don't think they probably would have filed any kind of case if they didn't have that. Or like I said, they could be just relying on what she says, bring her into court and testify. But that tape is damning. When they're gonna play that, they're gonna try to play that tape in court. I think the legal fight is gonna be for the lawyers to try to get that tape not admitted in court. But like I said, the jury's already been tainted, man. The jury's already been tainted. And a lot of these other little cases that's popping up is I look at it as tainting the not only the jury of public opinion, but the possible juries that could be involved in the Sean P. Diddy Combs case. But we're gonna see. And like I said, because we got a whole year, less than a year if you want to be less than a year. So what was that? What's that? November, December, January, February, March, April, May. We got 7 months. 7.5 months to go before that trial actually starts on May 5th. So it's going to get real interesting, man. It's going to get real interesting. But most people, for you to know, Cassie is the star witness. There's not going to be, I don't think they have any. And that's the problem. Like I said, once again, I don't think they have anybody else that could really substantiate anything that Diddy allegedly did with any hardcore proof. You know what I mean? As it relates to what Diddy's being charged with. You understand what I'm saying? So there's a time period that they're dealing with, and they're saying, well, hey, he did this and he did that. Like I said, somebody asked, will Gene Deal testify? I don't know. You probably would have to ask Gene Deal that. You know what I mean? I mean, he has his own channel, like, chime in and be like, Gene, you gonna testify and, the Diddy case. I don't know. But like I said, more importantly, like having other people come in and say, hey, Sean P. Diddy Combs did this to me. We're talking about a criminal matter, not a civil matter, but a criminal matter, right? There has to be evidence. There has to be proof beyond a reasonable doubt, right? And the one thing that proves that and this is the crazy part, and when it's kind of unfair, like the tape of Cassie's situation, right? Now, the lawyer's gonna argue. They're gonna be like, well, this happened on X, Y, and Z day, and you came back, and then they're gonna show pictures. They're gonna show pictures. I'm gonna tell you what they're gonna do. They're gonna show that tape in court, right? If it gets admitted in evidence, they're gonna show the tape in court, and then they're gonna take and they're gonna show pictures of Cassie and Diddy together afterwards. So this picture right here was taken at the Met Gala in on this date after the situation. You look pretty happy, you don't look like you're unhappy. So were you scared for your life then? They're gonna do all of that. You can count on it. You can count on it, and it's not gonna be really so much as shaming her from that perspective, because we know people deal with domestic violence in situations where they have a fight with their boyfriend or girlfriend, right? And they stay. You know what I mean? They have a fight, they make up, everything good. You know what I mean? And all of those things, right? So when you talk about the big picture of what this is, I'm telling you now, they're gonna play the tape in court. Diddy's lawyer's gonna be like, well, on, let's say this was in 2018, right? You didn't leave until when? And then they're gonna start bringing up pictures. Oh, this is you and Sean P. Diddy Combs in the south of France. You were aboard a yacht here, right? You seem to be pretty happy. Was that situation that happened at the Intercontinental Hotel on your mind? Was Mr. Combs keeping you there? Did he handcuff you? Did he make you stay? Were the alleged situation where you were still inviting people into your bedroom, was that still going on at this particular time? Man, they're gonna come with so much stuff. So that's why I say I reserve the right for judgment, because I know how crazy this is gonna be. This is gonna be crazy, and like I said, I don't think we're gonna see anything like it, because I don't think we've heard anything like this before, when and where the person who is alleging all of these things had a 10-year relationship with somebody, and they come into the courtroom and they saying, hey, this and this and this and this, because for what she said allegedly happened, he settled that in a civil case and he paid her X amount of dollars, right? Okay, now if he did that, then why is this criminal indictment being hatched against him if he settled the civil case? And so another reason I can only surmise is the fact that these other tapes that are alleged to exist, in which Little Rod said in his lawsuit that Diddy supposedly had tapes of music executives, politicians, and NBA basketball stars, right? Alleged in alleged sexual tapes or something like that, right? This is what Little Rod logged in his lawsuit. Now, whether there was any kind of truth to that remains to be seen, because we haven't seen it, right? Just like the guy who wrote the book alleging that he got the hard drive from some people that were close to Kim Porter. He was alleging all of these things, but when held to the fire about what the allegations were, he could not produce not one piece of videotape or evidence that anything was written by Kim Porter or any of those things even existed or were half-assed true, if you will, right? We don't hear anything from him anymore. The book was yanked off of Amazon once again. So you got to understand, it seems like sometimes some things are kind of like orchestrated, if you will. How did this guy sneak in with this alleged book, making all of these accusations, right? When none of it had been proven. None of it had been fact checked, right? But there was this big hoopla of this #1 book, on Amazon, right? This #1 selling book that alleged all of these things with Al B. Shore, things that you if you knew anything about the music industry, things that couldn't possibly be true. Al B. Shore and P. Diddy really didn't even get along because of Kim Porter, because of how Diddy, slid in on Kim Porter when Al B. Shore and her had a relationship. So it was a lot of the things that if you knew anything about what was going on back in the day, you knew that wasn't true. And if you knew anything about how Al B. Shore felt about Diddy, you knew that not to be true, right? So once again, the truth, when confronted by the lie, right? The truth always pans out, but it doesn't really get as much attention as the lie does, if you want to be clear, right? So now, the truth as to what Cassie was saying, right? And to the lie in which Diddy was telling when he posted that thing on his Instagram, talking about this was a money grab and blah, 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 blah. And then they dropped the tape on his ass. Boom. Oh. Right? And then everything went silent. And then he came out with the little half-ass apology, if you will. You know what I mean? Apologizing to Cassie and so on and so forth. But like I said, let's be clear. We see and we've known of people who've been in volatile relationships where they get fighting and they get to going at it and all of these things. The dude, Roger Bond, who was on Vlad channel, he basically said that, yo, you know, there's times where Cassie and Diddy would get fighting in the car. Cassie, you know, one time punched him upside his head or punched him in his face, and all of these things, all of this stuff is going to be brought up in court, right? Like I said, it's not illegal to have a fight with your girlfriend or boyfriend or husband or wife, right? But like I said, since Diddy's such a high profile individual, we seen what we saw. He put out that statement as if he was a saint. And when they put out the video, we found out that he was a sinner. You know what I mean? Instead of just keeping it 100 and say, hey, you know what? Me and her have had situations and blah, blah, blah. I'm copping to the Cassie situation, whatever. But I don't think he thought that they was going to release the videotape. I think he thought that $50,000 that he paid to the people to put it under wraps, I think he thought that worked. Right? And like I say, corporations know corporations and people that know people in high places, man, they can hire investigators. They can find out everything. And like I said, Cassie being a victim at that particular time of the situation that happened at the Intercontinental, it wouldn't have been nothing for her to say, you know what, we're going to call the Intercontinental. And then the lawyers, then they say, hey, look, we're about to file this civil case against Sean P. Diddy Combs, and we're going to subpoena you and your court and the people and all of them people over at the Intercontinental. They don't want that. The Intercontinental do not want to be dragged into no Diddy situation where they seem like they are complicit with the assault of any woman under any level. So they coughed that tape up. Period. Diddy thought they might have gave him a copy, but they still got a copy on the hard drive. You understand what I'm saying? Everything goes on the hard drive now. There ain't no more tapes or nothing like that. You know, yeah, you know, told him, I'm going to send my man over here tomorrow and come pick up a copy of the tape or pick up the tape. And he thinking that he picking up the tape, right? Not knowing that they still got the tape on the hard drive. So, you know, like I said, but yeah, Tony Busby promised 120 some odd cases, only delivered 6. He's 114 off. And we're going to see what happens. Like I said, for the people who really paying attention, man, and really understanding what it is, a white guy. Hey, Coco Dreams, when you say, man, a white guy named Jamal. Yeah. Like I said, yeah, he's no saint. But like I said, once again, it's one thing to try to rename yourself Brother Love. You understand what I'm saying? And then you got to know that that came right around about that time that everything came out. Remember, he had just changed his name to Brother Love. You know what I'm saying? Because I think he knew that the shit was it was about to explode. He knew behind the scenes what was going on. And it was said that they were trying to negotiate a settlement before they actually even filed the lawsuit in court and for it to be seen. And like I said, I don't think that he thought that she was going to go through with it. And then, like I said, once he saw the lawsuit, whether they showed it to him or gave him a copy of it, like, this is what we're going to file, you know, you could settle it and stop this from going public. And he was like, fuck it. You know, a lot of times that shit is drug use, people feeling like they Superman and all of this other things that they going through. You know, I'm Diddy, I run the city and all of that. Like, nah, once it came out, it was like, dude. And the lawyers probably told him, hey, man, you need to settle this because, you know, just put this to bed, let that be done, right? Yeah, hit that like button, man. It's free, man. Absolutely. Like I said, I appreciate everybody coming and supporting me. So those Intercontinental. Yeah, right. The Intercontinental hotels are nice hotels. But more importantly than being a nice hotel, once again, if that tape did not come out like it did, do you know how complicit they would have looked in hiding the tape and being basically assisting Diddy in the assault of Cassie like that? You know, throwing, like I said, once again, he threw a vase at her and everything. It wasn't just, you know, y'all, they got into a fight. You know, she was on the floor, he was kicking on her, you know, dragged her by the hoodie and pulled her halfway down the hall, you know, all of those things. You know what I mean? So when you talk about being corporately responsible for something like that, that's the thing that a lot of people really didn't pay attention to or didn't really focus on. Like, dude, they gave it up because that's what that was. And yeah, okay, we look here, you guys can have this case. We don't want nothing to do with it. But like I said, for so long that they held the tape, they are still kind of complicit, if you will. You know what I mean? When they talk about what that is and what that means, some people like to throw rocks and then hide their hand. You know what I mean? And at that particular time, the Intercontinental Hotel, whoever was the charge of security, they took that money and they ran with it, right? Best believe. Best believe. Best believe. The Intercontinental had to give up that person's name also. So be prepared for the person who took the money and got paid off by Diddy to be a person called to testify in the case, in that case involving Diddy. Thank you so much. What's that? Who's that? Ramona, Emily Jones. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But more importantly, like I said, at the end of the day, most people don't understand that, and they're looking for, like, they're making all of it. They're just trying to make the story go a long way, right? Oh, they're going to release the they're going to release the people who help assist Diddy, and nobody helped assist Diddy in anything. Everybody that came to the situation, they came to the party, they came because he was paying. They came because he was paying. It's simple as that. The people, the alleged sex workers, the alleged, the prostitution, everybody came to the party because he was paying, right? And Cassie's situation, when they came to her and they were like, look, we have this, do you want to, and like I said, she probably still hurt behind all of that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they're going to bring her to court. She's going to testify against Sean P. Diddy Combs. You know? Do I think that it's right? I don't know. After settling the case, and then like coming to court, testifying in the criminal case. But like I said, we'll see. We're going to see exactly what happens coming up. Lanice, how you doing? Coco Dreams, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Like I said, more importantly, we're going to have to wait and see. But these 6 new cases, I really don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. 1998 and 2008, some alleged something happened. The guy come out, the lawyer come out from Texas, say, hey, you know what? We got a big old press conference. We got 120 new people, right? Come out with 6, man, that he can only corroborate. So what was the 120 noise all about? Absolutely, positively nothing, right? And so once again, remember though, it does not just last until, if you get a judgment, not just in life, but also in death. Like I said, the Michael Jackson situation right now, people trying to sue the estate for things that they allege happened with Michael Jackson. So the same will happen with Sean P. Diddy Combs. Anything happened to him, he passed away, whatever, they're still going to try to sue his estate in order to satisfy the judgment that they may or may not receive. You know what I mean? So the lawyers in this case, Tony Busby, and and like I said, it's not even having to appear in court at that particular time. They're just going to be filing filings and things like that through the federal filing system, if you will. And this motion, this right here, that right there, and so on and so forth. Well, like I said, the tapes to blackmail people. I don't think he would have to use the tapes to blackmail people. Like I think people really don't understand that Sean P. Diddy Combs had a lot of money and a lot of connections, right? And when you got that kind of money, when you can put up $50 million in bail for your bail, you can put up $50 million, whether it be property or otherwise, you got cake, right? And so it wasn't so much that he needed the black, but people came to the party. We seen all of the people that were at the party, Jay-Z's, the Beyonce's. And this is not to say that they were involved in anything nefarious, because a lot of the parties were parties, like legitimate parties. You seen online, they had the party where the one girl was dressed up. I mean, the girl was laid out and she was covered in like sushi, and she was laid out with her breast out and stuff like that. She was chocolate and chocolate strawberries and all of that, and you could eat like the food off of her body, right? You seen like executives, old white guys, they were all at these parties. Will Smith was at the party. It was a lot of people at these regular parties, man. You know what I mean? And this is how high-powered rich people do things. That's not uncommon. I wouldn't be surprised if there were judges at the party. You know what I mean? Lawyers at the party. That does not mean anything nefarious is going on at that type of party. Now, the party that might happen after that party, now that might be a whole nother situation. You understand what I'm saying? And so, but everybody that came to that party after that party, I'm sure nobody got shackled and handcuffed and drug into the party. Everybody came to that party at their own free whim, right? Because, like I said, prior to Cassie filing the lawsuit, nobody said anything about it. And Sean P. Diddy Combs been throwing parties for years, right? I've never been to one of the parties, but like I said, I just know, like, being in the music industry, that, certain people would have, Paul, yeah, Puffy having his Grammy party after the Grammy party or whatever. And you would just hear about various parties. But, I never heard about no freak off or none of that. I never heard about none of that until Cassie came out. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I never heard that. And a lot of people have never heard of that either until Cassie came out and said that. If they say they did, they lying. You know what I mean? So, like I said, nobody knew what Cassie and Sean P. Diddy Combs was doing in their bedroom until Cassie came out and said it. Now, it might have been other people who were close to the situation based on the fact that they were employed by that person, would speak under the condition of anonymity, you know what I mean? Or confidentiality. But a lot of people, they wouldn't really have known nothing like that. Like I said, from what I understand, the freak off thing was something that Cassie mentioned, and that's where the terminology came from. People took it, ran with it. Even the situation with the baby oil, right? Like I said, I've seen no lab reports. Let's be clear. I've seen no lab reports stating that the baby oil was laced with anything. You know what I'm saying? I need to see this. I can't. And once again, so they say, well, that's why they confiscated the baby oil. Once again, that's a lot of. Listen, man. So in lacing the baby oil with something, what would that do? I'm just trying to. I'm curious as to what you ain't drinking baby oil. So why would it be laced with something? What would it be laced with? You understand what I'm saying? I'm not familiar with any kind of activity like that. But like I said, once again, people will say whatever they need to say it to make it seem like it's something when it's actually nothing. We go back to the attorney, Tony Busby. Got 120 new people in the whole press conference. And here it is. We only got 6 filings. Six filings. First of a promise, 100 in some cases, right? Wouldn't you want to file a class action against Sean P. Diddy Combs and his businesses in representing more people, or just keep filing these other cases and things like that? Like I said, you would, first of all, the lawyer needs to see some kind of evidence corroborating, hey, you were even there in 1998 versus 2008, and now, okay, cool, we can move forward with this case. You're speaking under penalty of perjury that these things happen to you. You're being honest. You're not lying. Okay, cool. We'll try this case. Everything else, people coming in, yeah, I was at a party. I'm not sure if it was Puffy's party or Jay-Z party. It was somebody party. You know what I mean? People coming and saying stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know who was there. Yeah, I don't know. But it was a party, right? And so once again, you have these people coming forward too, who trying to get a payday, right? I don't really think, like I said, we're gonna see. And look, I want everybody, if for the people who believed in what was going on in these 120 cases, because people was talking about it, he got 120 new people. You know what I mean? The hype of it all, right? I need them to keep the same energy when it come out, or if it does come out, that these cases, some of these cases gonna get dismissed. Some of these cases look real weak, because when you lose a case, now you got to pay attorney's fees. You know what I mean? When you lose a case, it's really not a good look for the attorney that's actually trying the case, because it makes the attorney, in some cases, it makes some lawyers look like they're like what they call ambulance chasers, right? Nobody wants to be that. People want to try cases on true merits, evidence, and like I said, once again, because a lot of times frivolous cases overshadow people who really suffer and who have had suffered from actual, uh, uh, you know, abuse, the R word, the SA word, and all of those things. And like I said, I never would want to make light of people who really have went through things like that. You understand what I'm saying? Women or men who have had suffered things, situations like that. You never want to make light of that with people overshadowing and yelling, yeah, I was at a Diddy party and it was this, and people even coming in the comments sometimes in the comments like, yeah, thinking I'm taking up for Diddy, but I'm not. I'm just stating the facts, right? And what we dealing with, like, yeah, he must have been at one of the Diddy parties. Like, what? You know what I mean? Once again, but they're hiding behind, YouTube and the keyboard thing, the keyboard wizards, I call them. You know what I mean? Saying anything, man. And once again, when you start saying anything, your credibility gets attacked, right? And people start to not believe you or think that what you're doing is even effective, hence the Jaguar, right? You know what I mean? Situation involving the Beyonce. Beyonce and Jay-Z got hundreds of victims. She was like, I know you, Jay. I seen you, and all of this, man. It's kind of like, it just takes it into a whole nother realm of disbelief and sensationalism and slander and all of these other things, right? Where people can't really, they don't know what to believe now because so many people are coming out saying so many things. So like I said, 120 new victims are promised, 6 filings from Tony Busby. And like I said, we're going to see what happens from here. Well, like I said, absolutely. Baby Red, I believe you, and I understand people don't do investigations of this magnitude. But like I said, once again, we're gonna have to see. Like I said, there's been sometimes the feds have lost cases. They've lost cases before. Like I said, a lot of times they don't. You know what I mean? They have a hell of a conviction rate, or basically a hell of a pleading rate, if you will, when people plead guilty to certain cases, if you will. And so once again, we're gonna have to wait and see what they actually have. But like I told you before, and I'm gonna tell you again, this is one thing that you can count on. They're gonna listen, because the government's case is based on that tape, really, and Cassie's what she's gonna say, right? And like I said, we know what that tape showed. We know that shit was horrendous by anybody's standards, right? We know that for a fact. But what I want you to understand is not what you know, it's what you can prove. And what they're gonna do, if the tape is allowed to be admitted as evidence in court, they're gonna play the tape, and then they're gonna show pictures from when Cassie and Sean P. Diddy Combs was together on the red carpet. Whether they were in the Hamptons, whether they were in the south of France, whether they were at any kind of movie premiere, any kind of music premiere, all of those things. They're going to present those things as evidence. And they're going to say, well, on this day, you were with Sean P. Diddy Combs. This is after what happened at the hotel. What made you stay? Because you seem to be smiling in this picture right here. This is how the legal system works. This is how it works. They're going to look at everything. They're going to look at timeline. And this is what's different between like what we're talking about in the chat, right? Versus what happens in the courtroom, what's allowed to be seen, and the rules that they operate under in the court of law, right? Like I said, the fact that she received a settlement, all of these things are going to be talked about. All of these things are going to be dealt with. And so from that perspective, like I said, we're going to see what happens, man. It's going to be interesting. No, actually, who's that? Double J Jackson. Double J Jackson. No, it's not a support group at all. Double J Jackson. Like I said, we can probably take your perspective on it. And like I said, and it could seem like this is a Diddy bashing section. What we're trying to deal with here on Straight Game is we're trying to just deal with the facts and the things that we know about that have been presented to us, right? And not add the speculation of our personal feelings. What I personally feel about Diddy or Cassie has no relevance at all as to what we're talking about in regards to the 3-count indictment the civil case. How they present cases, they lay cases out dealing with the federal government, state government, the cases, the six civil cases that were filed today by Tony Busby. The other two cases in where the one young lady lawyers had let her go because they didn't feel like that she was being honest with them or was interfering with their work. These are all facts, right? And so when we talk about that, or the young lady who TMZ had reported, like I said, they reported that. We don't know if it's true because we haven't seen the actual text messages, right? That reported that she said that if her ex-boyfriend would corroborate her story or who she's being represented by, Gloria Allred, that she would give him 6 figures, right? These are all alleged to be things that have happened, right, in regards to the Diddy situation. Once again, 6 filings of a promise of more than 120 alleged victims, right? Just like Tony Busby said, he had 120 people when he came out, did the press conference, put out a 1-800 number for people to call the number, right? Today was 6 filings of those promised 120. So we waiting on 114 more. And it's just as simple as that. Well, like I said, I mean, I understand your position is your position, Double J. We're not gonna argue that. Like I said, if you have something, an objective, or something to counter what we're saying, say it. You know what I mean? This ain't about me per se. We having a conversation. This is about the conversation about the facts. If you know other facts that we're not privy to, please state it in the chat. I would love to hear it. What she say? They're going to dig and they will turn over every rock. Absolutely, they're going to try to turn over every rock. They want a conviction. The government, they like I said, they want a conviction at this particular point. Like I said once again, and as we've seen, they don't want to let Sean P. Diddy Combs out on bail at all. But like I said, for the people that don't know, and like I said, I did the video the other day talking about in their filing. Once again, for the people that do not know, when Sean P. Diddy Combs went up for bail, they basically said that he was a serial obstructor, right? And a serial abuser, meaning he obstructed justice and he was trying to actually convince witnesses to change their story, right? You have to understand something. So, September 2024, right, is when Sean P. Diddy Combs was arrested. When you understand that he was arrested in September 2024, then you're going to understand on October 7th is when they received the affidavits from the actual search warrants, right? They were basically saying, how would Sean P. Diddy Combs know who was going to testify in the criminal case, right? He wouldn't have known that. He wouldn't have been privy to that information if they just received the affidavits on October 7th. If they're alleging, in listen to me, if they're alleging when they locked Sean P. Diddy Combs up on September 16th, 3 days after the death anniversary of Tupac, right? When they locked him up on this September 16th, when he went to bail, get his bail hearing, right? They basically say he was a serial obstructor and a serial abuser. Pause. Right? Now, if he hadn't seen the affidavits in that case in regards to the raids and the warrants until October 7th, how would Sean P. Diddy Combs be able to talk to or try to convince any witnesses to change their story? It's by the government's own admission that they didn't have the affidavits or anything that they showed to the grand jury until October 7th. But they alleged at the bail hearing that he was trying to obstruct justice, right? So how would he know about that? That's a fair argument. Any good lawyer, if it were you or somebody in your family, one of your family members, you would have to understand where they're coming from with that. So you saying that on, hypothetically using another, you saying that on, you played the lottery, you played the numbers, right? And you played the number in September, right? And you know, you say I played it at this store right here. These are the numbers that I played, and you got charged with lottery fraud and saying that yeah, you knew what the numbers was gonna be because you know X, Y, and Z, and because you know this is how you knew, this is who told us, and so on and so forth, right? Now, the government puts forth their case. You are able to receive the affidavits of the people who, you know, basically saying, yeah, I gave him the information and they testifying against you, right? You able to see that a month later, right? And now they're saying, well, you were trying to convince the witnesses as to what it was and who it was, as if you know all of the people when you say, yo, I didn't know nothing about that. And it's simple from people not you tried to contact, but tried to contact you. So, like I said, that's the reason why I like this. I like the situation with law and justice and all of these things, because this is how you fight a case. The government can lie. Sean P. Diddy Combs can lie. We've seen him lie and say, yo, it was just a money grab. He put that on his Instagram. Then they released the tape. You know what I mean? Of Cassie, right? You know, nothing involving you know, sexual, but him assaulting her, right? You know what I mean? So we seen that, you know, it was plausible that he could be that individual. You know what I mean? And he lied about that. And then after that, everything went silent. It was like, oh, you know, from that perspective. But like I said, once again, yeah, that's what makes this interesting. So we're gonna see what happens, man. Yeah, Diddy was convinced he was untouchable. Absolutely. I mean, you know, he had the kind of money he had the power, you know, the mayor who's running in your city, you know, you can give them campaign contributions, you know what I mean? You know, the police union or whatever, you know, all of these things you ingratiate yourself to when you got that kind of money. You know what I mean? And that's the smart way to play the game. But not only donating the money is one thing, but also being a productive member of society. You know what I mean? It goes a long way. And from what Cassie's situation looks like, and the situation what she's saying at this particular point, that's the only person that I'm looking at and seeing something that's tangible with all of this right now. I don't see anything else. I don't know of anybody else who's came forward, any other evidence, any other, you know, like I said, there's been allegations here. There's 6 allegations that were filed today. You know, there's allegations over here. You know, there's people who've been dropped by their attorneys. There are people who alleged to have, you know, done things unbecoming in regards to a case against Sean P. Diddy Combs. There's a lot of things, like I said once again. But the key person behind all of what is going on in this 3-count indictment that Sean P. Diddy Combs is now in jail for is Cassie Ventura. That's it. That's it. That's it. The freak off term, the situation involving the Kid Cudi blowing up the car, all of this information and things came from Cassie. And so, like I said, once again, I understand what the government is trying to say. I understand what Sean P. Diddy Combs is trying to say as his defense. And we're going to see, starting on May 5th, who's telling the truth and whose case is more believable or not. You know what I mean? Because like I said, that's a long ways, you know, things happen between then and then, you know, shit kind of fade to the, you know, takes the back seat. It's not on the front page no more. You know, the algorithms ain't kicking up the information no more. It's like, yeah, you know, you start to see like, you know, like the case with the girl when the lawyer dropped her because, you know, they didn't really believe what she was saying and somebody else said something this and this person really doesn't have proof about that. And well, this person really does have proof. Somebody has a video. Remember, let me remind you of this though. Check this out. Remember the other day they were saying like, yo, there's a tape with being shopped around Hollywood, right? With you know, Will Smith, or no, with Sean P. Diddy Combs and an A-list celebrity, right? Right. That was just a rumor. Where's the tape? Come on, man. As much money as it is in Hollywood, and as much money as it is out there from what's that, National Enquirer and all of these other entities. If there was a tape being shot, Vivid Video, vivid video, like the porn video people, right? Them, if there was a tape being shopped around, and it could be possibly, like I said, but I'm saying if there was a tape being shopped around, you best believe that it would have been bought already. I don't know what kind of money people trying to ask for that. Like, because you can't really do anything with it. Like I said, you can't really put it out for public consumption because a lot of the internet sites, they can't, display stuff like that. It wouldn't matter. But remember, they came out with that information that P. Diddy was, involved with something with a A-list celebrity. Now, the lawyer who came out and said that she heard about it, said she didn't hear about that. She didn't see the tape, right? She said she was aware that a tape exists and there being still shots, shopped around Hollywood and whatever, right? We haven't seen the tape. We haven't seen the tape, man. It's a lot of people saying that a lot of stuff in which they have not seen. It's just as simple as that, and you got to live with that. Like I said, once again, there you have it. So we need to, when we start to see evidence, actual concrete evidence, statements, facts, documents, pictures, videos, or knowing that a video is being played in regards to what somebody's saying. And like, even in the Cassie situation, like, she was alleging that, some of the stuff that she was getting high or got high or whatever it was. Once again, the guy, Roger Bond, said that one time he said he lost this ring that was Cassie's ring, right? And he said he had lost the ring and he went to the jeweler that he know that they got it from, and he went back to the jewelry and tried to get the ring back. But he got the ring, but it was a similar ring, but it wasn't the same ring. And that Diddy found out about it because he gave it back to Cassie. He said Cassie would go back when she was sober, they would have something going on, and he would say something, and she would say something, he would say something to her. And then when she started to get high again, she would go back and tell Diddy, and then Diddy would confront him about it. So he said from that point on, he had stayed out of the business. You understand what I'm saying? There's a lot that's going to be displayed. There's a lot that's going to be played. There's a lot that's going to be done. Trust me. And I can see why they don't want Diddy out of jail. I understand why. Because what they're alleging that he's done as far as like bribing people and all of that, he can do. His money that long. You know what I mean? R. Kelly did it. When R. Kelly's supposed to have been in jail a long time ago, he had paid the family of that girl. You know what I mean? That young girl. Yeah. And that came out in court. He gave them, they flew somewhere and stayed away and all of that, which was crazy to me because that said, you know what? That made them somewhat complicit. That was sickening to me. You know what I mean? And so once again, it's going to get interesting. It's going to get interesting. And like I said, we don't over here straight game. We're not over here condoning any kind of negative or bad or behavior unbecoming. But like I said, what this is not a demonization channel. We're not over here demonizing people, right? Everybody, including your family members, has the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. Everybody. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's how I like to approach it. If you've ever had any deal, like I said, somebody say you did something, you didn't do it, you know what I mean? Like I said, we see people come out of jail every day, black people, whatever, and basically say do 40 years for something they didn't do. But at the time that they were saying that they did it, they had witnesses and everything. You know what I mean? And it ain't until that they did some DNA, because DNA testing wasn't prevalent back then. They did the DNA test that they let the people out of jail after doing 40 years. We see it every day. Look it up, Google it. And so that's the reason why, like I said, I tread lightly on a lot of this stuff being said, about anybody. Like I said, we're gonna see what happens, man. Like I said, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Your boy DELRAY, and thank you for the donations, everybody. I appreciate you. Straight gang.